Okay, here's some crazy questions. If Donald Trump finds Nancy Pelosi on the side of the road with her car broken down, does the president stop and help her? How about me? If a diehard Yankee fan sees a Boston Red Sox fan at a checkout and Target and he is short some change, do I help that Red Sox fan even though I'm a Yankee fan? Or let's ask a more serious question. If a Black Lives Matter sees a white supremacist standing at a stoplight with a legitimate sign that says need food or any assistance, do they keep driving or do they give them money? This is not crazy talk. This is Jesus talk. That's what happens in Luke 10 as we go on the 260 journey. We come to one of the most intriguing parables Jesus ever told. These crazy contrasts is what the story of the Good Samaritan asks and answers. Instead of Democrats and Republicans, sports rivalries, he uses two people groups that disdained each other. The only story that Jesus told that comes close to popularity is the prodigal son. Let's read the story of the Good Samaritan a few verses before and how the conversation started. And if you've not heard it before, strap in. If you have, I want you to be refreshed by it again. This is Luke 10:25. Just then a religious scholar stood up with a question to test Jesus. Teacher, what do I need to do to get eternal life? And he answered, what's written in God's law? How do you interpret it? He said that you love the Lord your God with all your passion and prayer and muscle and intelligence, that you love your neighbor as well as you do yourself. Good answer, Jesus said. Do it and you'll live. Looking for a loophole, he asked, and just how would you define neighbor? And this is where we get ready to go on this journey. Jesus answered by telling a story. There was once a man traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho, and on the way he was attacked by robbers. They took his clothes, beat him up, and went off, leaving him half dead. Luckily, a priest went on his way down the same road, but when he saw him, he angled to the other side. Then a Levite, another religious man, showed up, and he avoided the injured man. But it was a Samaritan traveling and came on him, and when he saw the man's condition, his heart went out to him. He gave him first aid, disinfecting and bandaging his wounds. Then he lifted him on his donkey, led him to an inn, and made him comfortable. And in the morning, he took out 2 silver coins, gave it to the innkeeper, and said, take good care of him. If it costs any more, put it on my bill. I'll pay you on my way back. What do you think, Jesus said, which of these 3 became a neighbor to the man attacked by robbers? The one who treated him kindly? The religion scholar responded, Jesus said, go and do the same. This story is explosive because of the characters involved. The Jews and the Samaritans, listen to this, hated each other. And Jesus asks the question, which of the men was the real neighbor in the story? For me personally, I've been part of helping a lot of people's lives in very needy inner cities around the country. But let me confess, the ones that I hate helping the most are ungrateful people. That's on me. That's my problem. I have brought food, but sometimes it's not enough. They don't like it. It's not the right kind of meat. They wanted Sprite, not Coke. Boy, sometimes that bothers me. But Jesus doesn't give me that option because I want to only help the people that say thank you. And Jesus says you can't pick and choose who you help. The litmus test of our love for God is the love of our neighbor, was what Brennan Manning said. 1 John 4:20, if anyone says, I love God, but keeps on hating his brother, he's a liar. If he doesn't love his brother who is right there in front of him, how can he love God whom he has never seen? What does that mean? I love God as much as the person I dislike the most. That's like a sledgehammer. The Bible tells us to love our neighbors and also to love our enemies, probably because generally they are the same people, is what G.K. Chesterton said. Do not waste your time bothering whether you love your neighbor, act as if you did. And as soon as we do this, we find one of the greatest secrets. When you're behaving as if you love someone, you'll presently come to love him, is what C.S. Lewis teaches us. We have an injured Jew and no Jew to help him. He is the victim of a crime, and 2 religious people pass him by, a priest and a Levite, and they do absolutely nothing. And the one that does something is the Jew's arch enemy. It's the Boston fan. It's the Black Lives Matter and the white supremacist. Think about this. The priest found an angle, the Levite avoided, but the Samaritan saw someone, felt something, and acted. That's called compassion. Jesus isn't separating the men, isn't separating the men from the boys. Jesus is separating the real Christians from the religious. In research done by Darley and Batson at Princeton University in 1973, a group of theology students was told that they were to go across campus and to deliver a sermon on the topic of the Good Samaritan. Think about that. Theology students speaking about the Good Samaritan, but they had to cross their campus. As part of the research, some of these students were told that they were late and needed to hurry up. along their route on Princeton campus, Darley and Batson had hired an actor to play the role of a victim who was coughing and suffering. 90% of the late seminary students ignored the needs of the suffering person so they can get across campus to preach the sermon on the Good Samaritan. On several occasions, a seminary student going to give his talk on the parable on the Good Samaritan literally stepped over the victim as he hurried away. Oh my goodness, think about that for just a few moments. How crazy that story is. The lawyer's question is, who is my neighbor, is not even answered. Instead, Jesus answers a larger question. To whom must I become a neighbor? The answer, anyone in need. The Good Samaritan has lived in memory for centuries without a name. And I think that's because any name can be inserted there. It's not, well, that's Mother Teresa. Nope, it's left open for you to insert anyone's name there. It's been said one cannot define one's neighbor, one can only be a neighbor. Your neighbor is anyone whose needs you see, whose needs you are able to meet. That's why Dr. King said this. The first question the priest and the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But the Good Samaritan reversed the question. If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him? Are you willing to insert your name in the blank of the story? Do you want to know how to be a Good Samaritan? Do you want to know how to put your name in the blank? That's really the question. Keep your eyes open every single day to people that are in need. Jesus said, go and do the same to every single one of us. You can't be a Samaritan without oil, time, and money. I see help coming all the time from this man in 3 ways. Oil for the wound, time to help, money for the hotel. It costs to be a Samaritan. It costs to do God's will. But it's a cost that's well worth it. Thanks for joining the 260 Journey.